Hello people, welcome back to the channel. This is Sorin and today we have the second day of the auction. Today we have a more interesting tank than yesterday. It's a tier 8 premium and of course it has to be Russian because we already have like 20 Russian tanks in the game, isn't it? Well, this time it's the K-2 and it's a combination of the IS-4 and the IS-3. Incidentally enough, it does have a tier 10 armor or maybe tier 9.5, and it does have really bad gun, really bad dispersion, accuracy, view range and everything about the ammo. So yeah, this tank is focused only one thing, and that is blocking damage. Now it's for a bid of 8,000 minimum with 20,000 units, and I put myself 9,520 just to be on the safe side. By the looks of it, there are not enough people that bid for it, so maybe the minimum bid is gonna be 8,000 for it. But as people are gonna get back from school, from work, from anything, around the later date, the price will start to go up because there are gonna be obviously more people that are gonna bid for it, and hopefully that's not gonna be really the case because this is a toxic tank, and it will break the tier 7, tier 6 matchmaking, also tier 8, and it's a tank that it's a hit magnet or APCR magnet. Mostly you have to fire premium rounds to take this tank apart. Now, talking about the tank compared to other tier 8 premiums, such as I put here the KIROVETS 1, the Defender, the 50TP, the 121, the 112, and the IS-3, which is a Tech 3 variant, which use the same turret. I believe mostly of you have granted IS-3 and know how bad that IS-3 turret is because it have that 30 mm roof over here that gets overmatched by pretty much anything that you meet after tier 8s. I believe there are even the Black Dog or actually M41s do have small caliber guns or maybe like the light tanks, but still everyone that are gonna fire in close range, they're gonna overmatch your turret. And yeah, why would you have good armor when you don't have the turret, isn't it? So, in terms of firepower, do you have 390 alpha damage, which is a bit stock for 2023. Usually now the average is like 440, 420, maybe even 490, 470, something like that. But this tank it's quite old school. In terms of gun reload, is the same as the Defender, but the Defender gets 50 extra damage. So yeah, you can expect a really bad DPM. In fact, this DPM is as good or maybe as bad as the Tornvag, the T34, the new BZ166, and so on and so forth. So yeah, it's pretty much like the bottom of the list of the tier 8s in terms of DPM. Um, what else special about this? 60 degrees of gun depression. It's a bit better than the KIROVETS and the IS-3, but it's part and part with the 121, actually 112, and the Defender. But the 50 TP, which is a 6 or 5 years old tank, the same as the Defender, they are still old school, and the 50 TP gets 10 degrees of gun depression, which is much more flexible than this tank it is. Forgot to mention, this tank gets a really bad standard shell of 203 millimeters of penetration in 2023 for a heavy. That's quite bad. And also the velocity is 790. If you load the gold, it's 820 instantly rust, so hit is going to be superior round. So of course, if you're a free-to-play player, you will not really penetrate your sword as much. You need to rely on hit, and this is gonna benefit people that have the premium account. So yeah, if you're a free-to-play player, maybe you wanna avoid this tank. If you save up gold from the clan wars, the tournaments, the what else are there? There are. I believe I made a video, or I didn't, on how you can get gold, but still, this is like really hard earn gold for a free to play, so I don't really recommend this tank as you have to fire mainly hit. Obviously, hit is going to be much superior at long ranges, but this tank has the bad aiming time, bad dispersion, and yeah, you're not a sniper. You're like a 100 meters fight tank, so anything after like 150 is you're gonna struggle to hit this weak spot reliable. So yeah, not good news for this tank for the moment. In fact, let's go to tanks GG and see what we can compare this thing to. As you can see over here for the gun handling is 0.27, which is like 10% worse than the Defender. So pretty much if you're gonna use a rotation mechanism, you're gonna get you're gunning down to a defender stock. So this is really bad for your equipment loadout, which we're gonna take a look in a moment. Next, mobility. Is it this tank shiny? No, it is not shining at all. In fact, this is the slowest vehicle in this comparison. It's even slower than the Defender and the 50 TP, and maybe you thought that the 50 TP is slow, but no, that is not the case. In this time, it's as fast as this tank can go with a turbocharger, and on top of that, the reverse speed is 12. So yeah, if you're gonna get yourself out of harm's way, you're pretty much stuck. If you're gonna commit to a flank, you're pretty much gonna be stuck there. So in terms of 2023's meta, this is quite bad because I'm trying to play like the Tiger P right now to 3 market before they're buffing it, and it's like the game are lasting 4-5 minutes, and I cannot even get to battle, put like 2-3 rounds in because the game is already finished. So yeah, this tank with this mobility is gonna struggle a bit to do damage and get itself around the battlefield. In fact, the mobility is almost as bad as the 112 or maybe the IS-4 if we compare it directly. And why compare it to the 112? Because obviously the penetration and the armor layout is like this thing meets only tier 9s, and the armor layout of the 112 it's quite good for its statistics. In terms of armor and health, this is where this tank shines, and respectively 1650. So pretty much it's a defender with, or actually any tank in this comparison with an durability device in its dedicated slot, which is really interesting. So this tank is made only for trading purposes and obviously survivability. 160 at the hull, on the front 150 into the side and 120 in the rear. This means not even AGs are not gonna penetrate you, which is like the E3 AG round, the T95, the T30, the Object 26A version 4, the Grille, everything like that. They are not gonna penetrate you even flat in the rear, which is interesting for this tank's survivability. Turret armor, it's as I mentioned the same as the IS-3, nothing special about it. But if you look at the armor model, when you look at it, it's pretty much like the IS-4 hull. In fact, it's an IS-4 hull with pike nose, and yeah, I do have 160 at the front. This one is much flatter, which means you can penetrate with some hit. Like, yeah, even if you're gonna fight it at a slope, good luck hitting that. Obviously, the weak points are here, and a tiny cupola that you cannot really hit. Honestly, if you're gonna hit it, it's gonna be like mostly like the radio range something. But yeah, good luck hitting that effectively. Or either you can fire HE. If you cannot really see it, you can fire HE in this, and you can still do like significant of damage because this plate is really thin. And yeah, the main thing, it's like if you are gonna fire in 34, 85 with gold, you're not gonna penetrate even the lower pace. So a tier 6 medium tank fighting this tank frontally, it doesn't have any chance to penetrate, not even when it's angling, because this thing, I mean, even in the rear is like 140, so not even standard rounds of some tier 6 are gonna penetrate this tank in the rear. So yeah, good luck tier 6s and 7s to penetrate this thing reliable. But as we know the matchmaking, this tank is gonna fight only tier 8, tier 9, some mostly tier 10s, but I imagine this tank in frontline, it is gonna be a breakthrough vehicle. So yeah, maybe you wanna play frontline with this, but keep in mind it's really slow. And yeah, back to the comparison. In fact, I wanted to compare this tank to the IS-4. So as you can see, 230 in the front. Once again, really good side armor. It's pretty much like the IS-4 side armor. So this tank is really good for side scraping or maybe reverse side scraping as well. I mean, you can overangle like this and you still are not going to be penetrated by anything in the IS-4. In fact, I will show you my statistics with the IS-4, the armor use efficiency, to make yourself an idea of how good the armor is of a tier 10, or how good it can be of a tier 10 in a tier 8. So yes, you can see, or maybe the ST2, which is like 150. So yeah, an ST2 or IS-4 armor At tier 8, yeah, not really great. This tank is gonna absorb so many premium rounds from people's accounts and like credits and everything. So yeah, this tank is gonna make wargaming rich in a way or another. Once again, the health is really nice. I mean, it's kind of compared to like a tier 8.5. I mean, the VK Mauer Breaker and the other one, the Tech 3, has like much more hit points than this, but they're super heavy. This tank, it's 50 something ton. Yeah, it's 55 ton. And on top of that, this tank gets really bad view range. 340, I mean, even the S3 gets like 350, the Defender, but this thing, yeah, you're only focusing on armor. And talking about this tank's equipment, yeah, good luck here because let's max this thing up 1700 hit points. Well, that's pretty much enough, so you won't really need an improved hardening. Maybe you can use maybe for the city maps, I reckon. But how many city maps are there actually? There are quite a few. I mean, Ruinberg, there is Hammersdorf, there is Paris, there is you name it. But there are more maps that are firing and that are mostly like open space, such as Prohorovka, Horovanka, and so on. Maybe Pilsen. No, Pilsen is like city map. The other one, the Polish one. I don't know how it's called right now, but I believe you get my point. So you pretty much need to have a build for city only, which will be hardening, rammer, and maybe vertical stabilizer or ventilation system, but I don't really know. Maybe the vertical stabilizer should be like your main focus. But if you're gonna play on an open map, maybe you wanna put you wanna double stack those, and on top of that, maybe you wanna put an aiming device or a rammer. Maybe the rammer is gonna be much better. And on top of that, the film walls, there are all-terrain suspension to make your ground resistance, which are really bad, go up a bit. The effective top speed will go up on your soft with this. Personally, I will make the aiming time better and trade the accuracy just because the reticle can shrink, because that's like it's gonna take you to 2.6 times 3. It's gonna take you something like 8 seconds, something like that, to from a top speed to a standstill to make your reticle as small as possible. And next to that, you wanna put some view range, but yeah, you're not gonna get any view range even if you're putting optics. Yeah, it's still not gonna do anything. Let's put some bias, recon, snapshot, situation awareness, because it's a premium tank and it doesn't need this dedicated crew. And yeah, even with double stacking the rotation device and the vertical stabilizer, you will not get any great accuracy on the move or anything like that. Any good dispersion. Actually, when you turn the turret, it's quite okay, but other than that, it is pretty bad. And also, you don't even have 400 meters of view range, so you pretty much need to platoon with a scout, I suppose, to have some vision on the map. Or you wanna really rely on your enemies, on your allies to spot for you. But oh boy, this tank is a front assault vehicle. You cannot really stay at the back and snipe because, yeah. And obviously it's a Russian tank. I believe it is gonna snapshot like the object 430, 430U, but I don't have these tanks, so I cannot really predict how good the snapshot is gonna be on it. Um, what else can you put in? Actually, you can trade the vertical stabilizer for one of the new experimental equipment. Let's suppose people are having the tier 3. You can put this engine power thing, which can improve like most of your tasks. Because this tank needs like 6 or 7 pieces of equipment to make itself decent or playable at the very best. Um, or maybe you wanna put survivability. I don't know. It's like either fire control system or mobility improvement system. But yeah, really mobility improve is gonna be like much better because you're gonna get yourself much better power to weight ratio and obviously a healthy top speed, so you can pretty much cruise around the battlefield much easier. But yeah, do we really need this vehicle in the game? I don't know, man. It's why would wargaming do this? I don't understand why. But personally, for me, I said I'm gonna show you my statistics in the IS-4 vehicles. Then that is if you go down to Russia, there is ST, no, the ST, there is IS-4. And if you look at the armor efficiency, that's in tier 10, 1860, 0.93 armor efficiency. That's in tier 10 where people are finding like high penetration around, and that is still really good amount. Let's go to the IS-6B, which is my only tier 8 premium from Russia as a heavy tank. And this thing gets 0.9, 1200 blocking into an IS-6B. And come on, let's say it's not the most competitive tank, and also is 989 base experience for me with an average of 2300 damage. Well, it's not the most, but it is still durable. I mean, if I'm gonna play the i6b this good, this tank in my hands can be much, much better than the i6b. So honestly, for my case, be really careful here. For my case, I say only have the i6b, and it's not one of the most enjoyable tank because it has like really lots of weak spot. The preferential matchmaking, it's okay, but you don't have the best penetration. I need to fire the full hit, the full APCRs out, as mostly will happen with this tank as well. But yeah, I don't have any overpowered, let's say, tier 8 premium tank from Russia, from heavy tank to train my crew in it. So this is why I'm gonna bid for this tank. The bid, I'm not sure if he's gonna reach 10,000 for this because there are people that are not gonna buy it. And what I mean not gonna buy it, I recommend you should not buy this tank because it's a copy. And on top of that, I think that the Object 7032 has much better turret armor. The KIROVETS one is like one of the best that combines like hull armor and turret armor. And obviously, I believe people bought the IS-3A Paragrade, what it's called, for much cheaper. So yeah, if you're gonna be a tank collector, or if you don't have a premium tank like I do, I really don't recommend you should buy with this because, as I mentioned, it's a copy of the tanks that there are already inside the game, and obviously you only have really good armor. And what is armor where other people have access to premium rounds? And why would you block damage when you cannot really do damage? That is the real question, because obviously the gun is not really reliable, and the DPM will not get you really high amount of damage like you do have on maybe like the Renegade, or there are tanks that are more competitive, or the Skoda, for example. The Skoda reloads in 20 seconds and can do like 1,000 damage. This tank reloads in 14 seconds and can do only 390 damage, for example. So yeah, I believe you got a point. So I'll end the video here. K2, I don't know what Wargaming was thinking. Why is it so lazy to make a tank? It's like, oh, actually, Object 71. Oh, I didn't yes, actually it was renamed IS-4. So yeah, this is look like the IS-4, the original IS-4. And then that you can have a description here. Actually, is the first time when I read those. But yeah, I don't know what Wargaming was thinking. It was really lazy for this, but I think I'm gonna waste my gold as there is gonna be. I think it's gonna be the Progetto with a skin as well, which I think is gonna be going for gold, but I don't know, man. I really, really, really need those. So I'll see Legends in the next one with the tank review tomorrow of this tank to see how good can I play with it and how good it is actually, or how bad it is. So stay tuned for that. Thank you much for watching. I'll see Legends in the next one. Bye bye.